out of bed anyway.
You don't want to lie in bed like a vegetable and do nothing. I've tried it.
What do you need? What do you want? Can I not just live here without having to occasionally deal with you animals?
Coffee time.
Care for a cup of Wilkins coffee?
No, I don't like coffee.
I need another cup of coffee.
And good morning. Jim's not paying attention. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Authors and Coffee, my new rebranded morning chill coffee stream where usually I'm flying solo, but this morning I happen to have a guest with me. One of the first indie authors that I ended up becoming a patron and a fan of, Mr. Jim Wilborn, the author of The Seventh Cadence, The Continua Chronicles, as well as, wait, hold up, I have it here somewhere. I always have things near me, but I'm never prepared. Always unprepared, no expense considered, as well as its sequel novella, Strangers in the Promised Land, which is coming up for a bit of a review recently. I've got this stack of novellas and short stories that have been piling up since like the beginning of summer, and I'd figured I'd just take all of them, read all of them, and do like a review roundup all at once, right? Go ahead and get them out the way, just in one thing, because they're fun and like they are really catching on, are they not?
Yeah, they are doing really well.
So good morning, Jim. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
Good morning. I don't know what happened to my camera. I mean, it says everything's working, but for some reason it's not working through StreamYard. I don't know what happened.
Oh, well, it is what it is, and we'll just have to roll with it. It's always fun. And we were having, guys, before the stream started, we were having little audio glitches. It's weird. Every time me and Jim stream, it's an audio issue. In your episode of the Author's Outpost, I had unbeknownst to me, there was a headset plugged in under my desk. So my voice was coming, your voice was coming in fine. My voice was coming in like I was talking through a tin can. You could hear what I was saying, but it was very annoying. And every time I want some kind of interview with a guest that's important to me, I always have some kind of weird audio snafu. It never fails, but it is what it is. The audio goblins are all out for us.
Exactly. So, man, I'm so excited about your book that's coming out. I mean, you've been working on this for a while. I've been following your updates, and wow, the cover is absolutely beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm so excited about it.
And the cool thing is, I'm gonna bring it up here. I'm gonna bring up just let's see, I'm bringing the cover. There we go. So yeah, the cover dropped last Friday, guys. You can thank J. Caleb Designs. He is the artist who did the cover for Christopher Brenning's The Hellborn King. And that was kind of how I found him. I initially, put some feelers out for some other ones. And I kind of wanted to go with the standard. Everybody loves Felix Ortiz, right? Mm-hmm. That dude is booked up until next summer. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not going to happen. And I'd had to push the book back a little bit just to get the cover. And this was actually not at all like the reference that I sent him. So when I first saw it and opened it up, I'm like, oh, let me see this. Oh, wait, that's not what I sent him. But then the more I looked down, the more I'm like, oh no, he made this better. He killed it. He killed it. So
often you kind of have to trust your artist that they have a good eye for what they're doing, even if it's not exactly what you wanted. Sometimes they are. I mean, they do what they do for a reason.
Oh yes.
You know, you gotta let it be a little bit of a collaboration so that you know, you get the best possible cover.
I not to use a phrase that's been a little weathered on Twitter. I was literally shaking when I opened it up, and I was at work, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there just taking. It took like 10 minutes just to fully process it, man. And hey, you're no slouch either. Your cover, beautiful. I got to bring that up here so everybody can see it. No, not Jim. Me.
Yeah, not me. Not me.
Oh, there we go. That's a little better. It's a little hard to see with the guys. The lights, the camera don't do this justice. This is glossy. This is beautiful. This is eye-catching. And I promise you, I was not trying to emulate your cover. With the colors and everything, but just how he made the colors pop. It ended up being a bit of a coincidence, but I'm more than happy. I can look at what's that phrase from what do you call what was it? Parks and Rec. It's beautiful. I've stared at it for 5 hours now.
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait to work on the next cover. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm thinking it's going to have a strong green theme instead of blue this time.
Nothing wrong with that. The good eye-catching covers. And look, this is exactly what you want from a fantasy cover. You want it to reach out and grab you by the throat. I wanted to get a cover that would have grabbed me because I've grabbed so many fantasy books by the cover alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I have a guest and I've forgotten my routine. Let's go real quick and say hello to the chat to see everyone who's here dropping in live with us. Miss Katie from Periapsis Press, who reviewed The Black Crown. It was a wonderful review. And in fact, I'll bring it up here. This is the paperback cover that's going to be coming out. This is Katie's blurb right there on the front. Yeah, this looks even better. And guys, the paperbacks got approved through Amazon as of this morning. So I think they're available for pre-order. I haven't checked because I've been rushing to get this stream up. But the paperbacks, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I got to order proofs. Hello to indie author Timo Berman. Oh, wait, I'm bringing up other people here. I'm reading too quickly. Christopher Brand, thank you for dropping in. Soul Free Wolf, thank you for jumping in. Wrangler, good to see you. Brightest Day Audiobooks, good morning, sir. My good friend Abomination AJ, what up? The Lord Otter, whose book just dropped and looks fantastic. He's also got a great cover. Tom Highland, hey, John, will we see your book in hardcover? Yes, you will. I'm going to be working with my editor, Daniel P. Riley, on that probably today and this week. If not available at launch, definitely in the near future. Don't worry. I want a hardcover too. Periapsis Press says, I like the cover the longer I look at it. And good morning to Trippy Soul and Dave Browning. Thank you guys for joining us. Much appreciated. If you guys got any questions for me or Jim, drop them in the chat and we'll get to them. We're live on YouTube, on my Facebook page, and on Rumble as well. Let me make sure nobody's over on Rumble. Oh, I do have someone over on Marie Hargis. Art, good morning. Good to see you. And Readout Productions says, I can't bring it up on Stream Chat. Morning, John. Hope all is well. Can only pause to say hi. Well, thank you for dropping in. I very much appreciate it. Thank you, Maria. Yes, I agree. The cover does look nice. And the most important thing about this one, Jim, is that the thing about J. Caleb's covers is that they look good in a thumbnail. So you got to remember, you're looking at this. Most e-readers are going to be looking at this at a distance. So the color has to catch you. That's something your cover especially does very well.
Yeah. I tried to almost make the title disappear because to me it was more about the artwork and the beautiful work of my cover artists. So I really wanted to feature that. I'm going to change the typography on it because I'm probably not going to be working with the same designer for the typography anymore. So I'm going to have to switch up the 7th Cadence cover just a little bit to match the rest of the covers that will come out afterwards. So I hate to do that, because then some people are going to have mismatched books, but I'm kind of in I'm kind of forced to. It's kind of forced my hand. So
that'll be all right. Give me a chance to have them both the new covers and hardcover at the very least. My problem is I've been trying to keep up. I've been trying to give so much attention to everybody's books as much as I can. I think it was either Tory Talks said this last night. Who else has this bit of anxiety that the end of the year is almost here and you realize you didn't get to as many books as you wanted to? And I'm like, oh God, she's right.
Yes.
There were so many, and everybody's coming out with great books. And now here I am in the end of year rush, and that's all well and good. But I'm looking back at, like, I interviewed Kian Ardelin earlier this year, and I still hadn't gotten to the 11th cadence. I mean, sorry, the 11th cycle.
Right.
H.C. Newell just dropped her third book in her trilogy, and she was on last night with Beard of Darkness book reviews. What a great guy. And they had a book launch stream that was just off the chain. It was fun and funny, and helped me pass the last few hours of my shift. That's great. Yeah. Are you due to interview with him at some point?
Yeah, I think I'm going to interview with him at the end of December, or beginning. I'm not really sure. Sometime in December, I'm going to jump on with him. I can't wait to watch that release stream because I want to check that out. I couldn't watch it in the moment, but it's on my to be watched list.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and everybody was playing games. The chat was alive. Everybody was there, and it's been really great to see Beard jump up, and he's like become a staple in the indie book community, like almost overnight.
Right.
And I just started following him, I think, when he had maybe about 200-300 followers, and now he's getting close to 1,000 for too long.
Yeah.
And every time I look up, he's streaming with another indie author. And I said, Beard, dude, you got to leave me some authors to interview, bro. I don't have anybody left.
You can just interview them too, because, we love chatting about our books because, we spend so much time in our own heads and we don't get to talk to anybody about it, because how do you just dump, 150,000 words on somebody and say, yeah, read all this so that I can talk to you about it incessantly.
Yeah. What did you think about it? And they're like, oh yeah, I liked it. And then leave it at that. Like, no, you got any more than that. That was something I understood when it came to doing the author's outposts. I understand that mentality. There's nothing we authors love to do than sit and talk about our books and characters and get asked questions about it. So the least I could do is at least provide a platform. Other people can come on and do that very same thing.
Yeah.
And, talk about their process. Beard had Ryan Cahill on Halloween. That was another good stream and very informative. Ryan, what a workhorse that guy is.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to meet him at DragonCon this year. Yeah, I mean, he's a great guy. Very nice, very tall.
Of course he is. Guy's got the physicality and mindset of a warrior, and I was shocked. Like he's got the same mindset that I do, where just if something needs to be done, it's better to learn how to do it myself, right? Except being a nurse, over time I've learned sometimes you have to delegate your tasks to someone else. Like obviously I couldn't make the book cover. Obviously I can't edit. I read that book. I read The Black Crown 4 times and was still finding things I missed. And I'm like, brain, work. You have to work. Come on, you have to do this. Pay attention line by line. Next thing I know, I'm 3 chapters later just reading it again. Like, oh God, I gotta go back.
Yeah, I just don't think the writer brain meshes well with just because you made it. It's just too hard to see the same details that somebody who didn't make the thing will see. So
I'm gonna be starting in on Ryan. Speaking of him, very shortly. I'm gonna start with The Fall. This is gonna be the last thing I read for my novella roundup. And then I think he's probably going to be the first author I read for next year. Start the year off really strong.
Yeah, I've read The Fall. I haven't read anything else after that. So that's his prequel
Yes.
novella. I bought that one. I have it in paperback somewhere back here. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, this guy it's a ride, for a novella. You kind of you're not really I didn't know what to expect when I went into it, but he just barrels, down the aisle with that book. It goes from 0 to 60 real fast. And it's really great. However, I'm on the team, and I have not read the first book yet, but I'm of the persuasion that I bet it's better read after the first book.
You think?
Yeah, for me personally, based off of what I read. Now, I hear there's an internet divide over this. I mean, do you read it first or do you read it second? And I haven't read the first book, but based off of what I read, I'm leaning towards second is probably the better experience. But I mean, other people feel differently, so you might feel differently.
And that's an interesting conundrum. I honestly can't imagine like creating that kind of conundrum for my readers. It would frustrate me because I like very much that. Hey, that in my setting of Allspire, I did this deliberately. The Black Crown and the upcoming second entry next year, the Lionheart, they're different stories, same world, but they're set in different areas and they're complementary of each other. But one is not necessary to read that compared to the other. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to read one before the other. Publication order is probably better, but you're not gonna be stymied if you don't.
Yeah, hold on.
Hold on. Devil's Air. The artist for my cover is J. Caleb Designs. He did the art for the Hellborn King by Christopher Brennings. Answer a couple questions here. Quakles, who just put up a review very recently, said, regarding your book, Cortland is my favorite. His arc is awesome. Cortland is a big favorite of mine. Cortland is, Jim, every a lot of good fantasy has the archetype of the farm boy who leaves home to become in search of glory and valor and everything. Like Cortland's like that. But imagine if Gaston from Beauty and the Beast decided, you know what, to hell with this town, to hell with these townsfolk. I'm better than this. I don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I'm going to go out there and be a big fish in the rest of the ocean. And you're halfway there to Cortland. He's a very angry, cantankerous dude with a fiery temper. He likes to throw fists. So, he's not as valorable and honorable as most, farm boys, but his strength.
That's a cool direction. I like that. Yeah.
I'm always about taking something that's established and well known and thinking, what can I do differently with this? That's why the protagonist of the book is a half-orc prince. Let me see here. Oh, Paladin Dragoon Rider, good morning. Good to see you. No, I'm not answering that. Devil's Air. Oh, how is the physical book coming out? I thought you were making a joke, Royce. The physical book might be up for pre-order now. I saw it was approved this morning. Ragnar, really good to see you. I got to say hello to my chat, man. Sorry. Lou, good morning, fellas. Next book next year. Yes, probably so, Katie, because even though from conception, the point of conception to publication was like 3 years, I started the Black Crown. I've got the ball rolling on the next book. So, sorry, Jim, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Amazon's a little tricky with these paperbacks. I don't know if you've heard, but sometimes they'll approve it, and then the day of release, they'll take it away from you. That's happened weird. To me, actually. It happened to me. And basically, their pre-approval process is automated. And then the day it's supposed to go live, I don't know if they actually have a person check because it can get denied. I don't think you'll have the same problems. I'm sure it happens to very few people. The reason why it happened to me was because of my maps. And my maps have text on them. And you can't have text, according to Amazon print guidelines, within a certain area of the margin. So I didn't think of that as text. I thought of it as part of the image, and they considered it part of text. I mean, it is
Weird.
technically text. So, I mean, I went back and forth with them. I was like, this is absolute bullshit. Like it, like it looks fine. I can tell
Wait,
because you
so
sent me a proof copy.
So they thought you put the image on there and then put text over it after the fact?
I don't know what they thought. They just didn't like it. And so they were like, no, regardless of it, as long as it is within that, little area of margin, it's not gonna work. Yeah. So do you see how it says continua in the corner there? They did not like that. Now you have an Ingram Spark version, and that's why the map is so large. I had to go in and shrink the whole map so that the letters of continua would fall within the margin on the Amazon versions. So that's how you know if you have one of the original prints, is if the maps are larger. So you have one of the first edition, really.
Right. Well, I got it that way because I ordered it straight from you because, I got you to sign it right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it came in. Let me dig it out real quick. You guys can go my top. Jim was my top fantasy read for 2022. If you go back and watch that review, it came in this really nice art book with stickers and a bookmark and a whole bunch of other stuff. It was really snazzy. And I was not expecting that. And I'm like, oh, I got to do that for the future. But that's going to be for a future book. Just pushing this book across the finish line, the Black Crown. It had to go without a map. Unfortunately, which I'll have done later. In my head, what I'm thinking, because what I really wanted was like some nice illustrations, and I've got a good artist lined up for it to go with it, and some more designs, and maybe even a different cover, and do like a definitive edition down the road with a much more expansive appendix as well. Yeah. Although I'm kind of pushing it because this thing is like 650 pages.
Yeah, so that's kind of my plan for my hardcover. I have my book. It's been in line. I've had to switch editors a couple times, but I need to get it re-edited. There are some things that were missed in the rush to get it out. And, I missed them, obviously, after reading it 15,000 times. And the editor missed them, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. But every now and then I get a review, on Goodreads or something. It's like, it needed another edit. And I'm like, I can't help that. I'm so sorry. Once the editor has edited, I'm not going to, go through and find 5 other editors to go over their work, But apparently I had to this time around. No slight to the editor that I had. I mean, she was working on accelerated timeline, so that's probably why. But, it happens. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to clean up the editing. I wanted to maybe add some extra illustrations and maybe make it kind of worth buying in a hardcover apart from just the paperback. And I wanted to make the hardcover exclusive to my website. I'm a big fan of direct sales because Amazon has enough money.
I agree there. I definitely agree with that. I've actually got my website just launched. In fact, big thanks to Beard of Darkness Reviews. He built my website for me. I much appreciated what he did. It was, within my price range, and it was, guys, it's a little Pookie production right now. I know it's a little bare bones. All this infrastructure stuff I should have done in the past, but like most of this year, Jim, you talk about the editing. I had a nightmarish issue with editing in regards to the Black Crown because, and no shade on my editors, I had to have it edited again, basically. And what happened was I had it edited once, and she did a great job. Don't get me wrong. I was the one who effed up somewhere. And the thing is, I don't know where. I gave the file to once I was done implementing the edits, to a friend. I said, can you format this for me? And somebody threw together a really quick cover just based on some existing art that I had. So just so it can have a little, Pookie production cover, and I've got an arc that I can give to people to start reading. And that kind of paid off because several of the beta readers have already put out reviews and are ready to drop reviews on the book.
Right.
But then I started getting notes like, hey, did you know this got missed in the editing? Did this get missed in the editing? Did you notice this? And I'm like, I thought I had already fixed this.
Right.
And in going back and looking, I could not figure out where the disconnect was. Somewhere between implementing the edits, getting it formatted, and me putting it out, handing it out there. Either edits didn't get done, or I accidentally gave the formatter a version of the book that did not have as many or any of the edits put in. It was very strange. To this day, I still don't know what happened. And I don't think it was the editor. I think it was somehow the ball got fumbled on my court. And so finally, I talked to another friend of mine who edits independently now. And I said, look, can you just go through this and fix all these technical snafus? I'm not changing anything in the story. The story's fine. It's not going to, it's not even, I would tweak a couple things here and there, but just fix all the technical stuff, because I don't have a degree in English literature or anything like that I can draw on. Okay. I'm totally self-taught. So, I don't always know where the semicolon or the colons go, or, how to, it's just
semicolons can go straight to hell.
Right. Thank you. Tom Highland, the answer to that is send him a DM and ask him nicely. That's all. That's what I did.
The website looks great. He did a great job.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna make better use of it in the future. Now I just got to get in that mindset of, okay, I've got a mailing list now. I got to actually do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I just take the approach of updating once a month. You have a YouTube channel, so I mean that's an easy update. Just
right.
Say these are the things I put out this month. These are the reviews I did. This is the authors I chatted with. Maybe a short update on the writing. I mean, that's good to me.
Yeah. And even though I had never kind of looked at the newsletters because dude, up until recently, I often forgot I even had an email because I didn't really use it for anything.
Right.
But
yeah.
Every indie author is just insistent, hey, you've got to have a newsletter. You've got to have a mailing list. You've got to use it for this, this, and this. And I'm like, well, okay. All my contemporaries are not telling me this thing for no good reason, right?
Yeah, it's a funny thing because it's an old-fashioned form, like it's been around for millennia, but it's an old-fashioned form of marketing, I guess. But the only difference, I think, the reason why to me it's important, it's just that nobody can take your mailing list away from you.
Right.
That's Elon Musk can't change your mailing list into SE X or Y.
Right.
No one can take that away from. These are your fans, and not everyone's going to want to be on a mailing list, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, we all get enough email, so it's not like we're thirsty for it, but it's just a layer of protection. I would say that's worth having.
And that is especially good. Like when I first started getting involved in the YouTube thing, there are other authors and maybe comic makers that have gone through this process where a bit of social media outrage has cost them this account or that account. I lost my Twitter account, the big one, the one that had over 3,000 followers and was gaining very quickly. I was even bringing in a few Elon bucks being monetized on it. That was nice. But
right.
The thing is, somebody reported a GIF as a violent threat, and I lost that. That was one of my biggest marketing tools. That was why do you think I'm on Twitter so much? I gained so much attention there, and I'm very thankful and grateful and appreciative to everybody that migrated over to the second account, which then unfortunately was summarily booted because they picked up that it was me. And now I'm on the third one, which they have, not caught on. And they're like, okay, this guy, that's obviously not John A. Douglas. That's J. A. Douglas. He's different. And everybody followed me over to these and, refollowed. And I'm very appreciative of that. And, everyone's understanding that regard. But that was the marketing strategy that I kind of took, stretch myself out to these different venues, Facebook groups is about the only place where people are even on Facebook anymore. Facebook
Right.
groups. Twitter turned out to be a great marketing tool. YouTube, I built up the YouTube before I even got to this point, and it's paid off in spades. But I'm also on Rumble. I'm on Odyssey, which unfortunately isn't growing. I'm on different social media sites now. The newsletter is just another tool in that particular, another arrow in that quiver.
Right.
So that if one goes down, I'm still on these other places.
Yeah, hedging those bets.
Like, in fact, one author who went through this, who was Blanley Pardoe, who was a part of the BattleTech. He was a BattleTech novel writer for 30 years, and he got canceled. But his fans followed him into his new series, which he's about to release book 6. Like, holy crap, this guy is prolific. And I saw it on Facebook this morning. Blaine, if you happen to watch this, happy birthday, dude! Everybody everyone go on Twitter and wish Blaine Pardoe a happy birthday. I read book 1 of his military sci-fi is giant mechs versus alien fish from the ocean. Dude, it's awesome. The guy knows the guy knows how to write this stuff. You can tell he's been doing it long enough that he's like, just, you ever seen an author who's been doing something for so long, and like, even if they start into a new series, you can kind of tell, oh, they've been at this for a while.
Yeah.
It's very heartening to watch, like the old war horses, just effortlessly do this author thing. I love talking to the older authors.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of skill that's out there among the old guard. It gives me a lot of imposter syndrome. What am I doing? Like, I can't pull this off like they can.
No, but you don't sell yourself short, though. Like, you very much have your own style, and yes, you've admitted to me in the past that you're a slow writer. I look at it more as you're meticulous and methodical about it, but that shows in your writing. That very much comes across in that you, even as I'm an author and I'm watching you, like, okay, Jim is setting up these dominoes to knock them down later in this certain way. But even when it came time for the dominoes to fall, I'm still at the end of your book going, oh, yeah, yes. I'm like just devouring it. And I think there's something to be said for delivering your readers' expectations instead of trying to, subvert them in a way that, feels cheap or, tries to do it in such a way that it feels like it's unearned or unnecessary.
Right. Yeah, I've been I'm drafting book 2 right now, trying to participate in NaNoWriMo. And by participate, I mean the point is for me is to just write every day, to just to start doing that every day again. And
I'm gonna be right back and take this phone call. If you want to talk to the audience, can you do that, or you want me to go to a break? Okay.
So yeah, I've been trying to get back into the habit with that, and it's been difficult trying to get back into the habit. And I mean, honestly, it's been really nice to get back in there and get into a flow where I feel confident again, which is I feel like it's so stupid to talk about writing as if it's something you have to be confident in, but it does take a little bit of confidence to be able to put yourself out there like that. And writing is like that. You know what? I've just realized that there is no way for me. Oh no, I can see it. I can see the chat. Jeff Potts, how's it going? Yeah, so I mean, every day should be NaNoWriMo for me as well. I, yeah, it's just like Katie, I think it is, said that it's more about establishing a rhythm. That's why I'm doing it. It's just to get my daily writing habit back into place and it's been really nice for that.
Okay, AJ, who said he wanted you on his show a little earlier, asks, you did the video on monsters and their evolution, what they mean to us today, your thoughts on werewolves and where you plan on adding your own spin to them. AJ's a big werewolf fan, so I'm not surprised he asked that question.
It's possible. So the first book in my series, The Seventh Cadence, I decided to do dragons in an interesting way. I am constantly looking for ways to take mythological and fantasy creatures and doing a new spin on them. So I have a couple in book 2 that I'm playing with, and hopefully you'll enjoy my spin on them. I've taken it in an interesting direction.
So when I come in, you were talking about how do you say it, Mau?
NaNoWriMo, I think, is the accepted pronunciation for this nonsense abbreviation.
It's off kilter for sure. Yeah, I saw it. I don't think I've ever participated in it. Usually I've just got so much going on. But I mean, like if the schedule allows, I write every day anyway, but I'm launching my book in the middle of this month. So like, whatever,
right.
You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes I think people hear about challenges and they want to challenge themselves. I've been notoriously bad at challenges. I'm more of a marathon runner. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, especially with book writing.
Right.
Like I said earlier, from conception to publication, the Black Crown was on a very low heat simmer for like 3 years before everything fully fleshed out. And even then I was tweaking stuff up until recently, some things here and there. RH Snow, good to see you. Good morning. RH Snow, what a wonderful person to talk to. And Jeff Potts is also here. I've not participated much in writing novel writing month. And what do you think is the appeal of it, Jim?
Well, some people need a kick in the ass to get started. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. Like, some people are just like, you know what? I've been trying to do this. This event is coming up. This is the kick in the ass I need to actually start. And I think that's functional for some people. For me, NaNoWriMo, like I was saying before, isn't really about the word count. It's not. It's more about, finding a rhythm, especially in, the winter months where sometimes some people are seasonally, depressed or whatever, they have going on because it's cold or they don't want to do anything. And it kind of comes around at a really hard time to actually do it. So it kind of kicks you in the butt in that way. I mean, November is a short month. You have 30 days instead of 31 days. Kids are in school. Thanksgiving's coming up. All the holidays. You have Christmas shopping. So it's like the worst month to do a challenge, and I feel like they picked it specifically for that.
Put your nose to the grindstone, and some people kind of need that kind of thing. I have a friend I've known for a long time who every now and then kind of pokes me to look at his manuscript and say, look, I'd love to write this, but I just don't feel like it's good enough. And I'm like, look, you just need to write and keep writing. Yeah, but I'll never do it. I say, okay, look, here's some really good informative videos by Brandon Sanderson, who is a prolific author, and he has really good basic advice for you to follow. Yeah, but I can't write at his kind of level. I'm like, you don't have to. He's a little bit of a sad sack at times, but in that regard. But some people are going to get it, and some people, unfortunately, are not. And not everybody who reaches for the stars gets their feet off the ground.
Yeah. I mean, on the whole thing, it sounds like he's just hesitant to start because he feels like he won't be any good. And that's kind of the wrong approach to take, because no one's good until they're good. Yeah. So
Sanderson, and even though I haven't read him, like his process, his output, his everything is very impressive to me. How many books was it he wrote before he was actually published? It was like 14.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it was at least 9 that he wrote. At least.
At least. Books
Yeah.
that will never see the light of day, which
Mhm.
feels weird to me because I'd be like, okay, that's money on the table. Of course, what does he need money for now? He's got all of it.
Right. I mean, for him, fairly, it was a little bit before the indie revolution happened. He
Right.
broke into the market right before that, about a decade before that. Um, so fairly, I get why a lot of that was left on the floor. I'm sure if he felt like he could, open up that trunk, but he's so prolific that I don't really think he feels the need to do
No,
that.
no, he wouldn't. He don't need that. There's a lot he don't need. Hell, he don't need his publisher.
He
His
doesn't.
Kickstarter proved that 100%. You know they had to be sweating bullets when that thing hit $46 million.
Right, right. I mean, he's definitely proven that he can not only write a book but sell a book. And he does not need his publisher. I'm sure he stays with them because he has a good relationship with them. There's probably reasons why it's easier for him, especially with distribution, for him to stick with his publisher, aside from contracts that I'm sure he could buy out if he really wanted to. But it's probably a convenience for him to stay with his publisher, but he doesn't really need them anymore.
No, but if you're in a good relationship with an entity that is kind of benefiting you to somewhat, I'm sure he doesn't want to. I'm sure if he wanted to, he could break in, make his own publication company, staff it with all people he approves of, and basically become a competitor to them. And honestly, that wouldn't be a bad thing. A little competition to TradPub would not be an unwelcome thing right now. But I think he's
in a way he's already done that
a little bit.
He has already done that. I mean, his quote unquote publication company is called Dragonsteel Entertainment. I think he has like 50 employees.
Yeah, all family too.
Right. Well, mostly family, at least. Family and friends, neighbors, people from his church, probably.
And yeah, that's a great thing to do. Don't mind me, because I've been seeing my friend Aragmar Varillion, aka Black Knight. Yes, to answer your question earlier, Black Knight. Yes, your book is in my thing. He's been an indie author for a while now. He's got 11 books. This is one of them that he started. This is one of the artists that created artwork for the Black Crown, the art at least. His name's Neutron Boar. Really great author. And he's got 11 books. And yes, you're still on my reading list, Black Knight. I promise I haven't forgotten about you. I haven't forgotten about anybody. It's just a matter of my mood swaps around. And it's like, okay, I'm going to start this book because this is where I'm at today. And this is the book I'm looking at the moment. So I tried a TBR at the start of summer, Jim, and it just fell apart almost immediately.
Yeah, I understand. Actually, this has been a really bad reading year for me as far as fiction. I think I've read 10 fiction books this year. And I usually read about 30.
Wow.
So it's been really bad for reading in general. I think part of it was because of YouTube. Writing, putting together these video essays essentially has taken up a lot of reading time with research time, just to make sure I get things more or less correct in this process, and trying to figure that out and put everything together. And so I've read a lot of nonfiction this year in the form of various articles, and some of it was, like my Mistborn review and analysis videos was a lot of me like flipping through pages and trying to figure out where, something happened and verifying. And that the analysis that I want to do on my YouTube channel is going to take a lot of time and effort to do them the way that I want to. Yeah. And compared to other books that I'd like to do, Sanderson's was easy because of the sheer amount of information, reliable information online about what actually happens in the books, the wikis, all the characters listed out with full articles, that made it way easier. Like
Oh,
most books don't have that. So I'm kind of in this weird place of trying to figure out like how do I move forward with doing that kind of analysis with the limited time I have.
I'll tell you, like you can make your YouTube channel. Anyone listening to the sound of my voice, you can, if you want a YouTube channel to blow up, just make it about Sanderson's books. Because every video I've ever done on Brandon Sanderson got picked up by his book fans algorithm and carried up to thousands of views. Like that is insane. I mean, I don't mind Sanderson, but like I don't have anything to say about him at the moment unless he's in the news. Like that hack hit article was the last thing that went through, and I've made it very clear on there. It's like, look, I'm going to be the asshole that Brandon Sanderson can't be or won't be. And a lot of his fans found that video and were sending me messages saying, hey, thank you for doing that. Like, okay, I've never been thanked for being an asshole before.
Well, that guy, the guy who wrote the article was a grade A asshole. I mean, it's like really.
You spent you followed Brandon Sanderson for 7 days and couldn't find anything to attack him on. So he attacked the fan base, and like it was the most petty thing you've ever seen. Like somebody who just did not get it and didn't want to get it, and then ran all that information through an AI to come up with what a hack, just a complete hack.
It's awful.
They weren't interested in Sanderson except for what angle they could attack him on. And to his credit, he's a very nice, congenial guy. And it's hard to find fault in anything he does because he's genuine, right? And people who are not genuine don't think that comes across as real because they live in like a cutthroat world that most genuine American people don't.
Yeah, he's not only genuine but genuine and successful, and sometimes those two things are hard to reconcile together. Just because you're like, there's no way. There's no. Wait, there's some dirt here. There has to be some dirt here. And sometimes there's no dirt, Yeah,
that's what Eric July, what his comics is going through right now. A lot of people don't like the fact that he made so much. Actually, he's going to be dropping another comic today. I'm kind of hoping I got money for it. But I also got to order proofs for my own book.
Yeah.
Not to talk too much about Brandon Sanderson. I want to go back to like your videos, guys. If you look down in the description for the chat on Rumble or YouTube, you will find links to Jim's channel. Usually every Sunday, Jim has an essay style video that comes out talking about mythological figures in mythology, characters, stories, how they pertain to fantasy. It's very fascinating, interesting. I look forward to them when they drop every Sunday because usually I'm in the middle of my second 16-hour shift and I'm like, Jim's going to entertain me for the next 10, 15 minutes for this. So every time they drop, I'm always sharing them. Guys, give his channel a follow if you like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't promise every Sunday, but when I post, it's generally on Sundays. Sunday is my day, for video releases. So right now I'm on a bit of a break because I'm doing Nano. So I won't have any videos this month. I wasn't planning on having one the week before last, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to do one more for Halloween and hit the Halloween wave. But I don't really have anything to do for Christmas, so I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to, get my rhythm back for writing, and then I'll get back into more videos.
You do got something Christmas related, vaguely. The Advent anthology. Let me see if I can bring that up. Is that still going? Is that still
It's still going? There's a few days left. I think maybe seven days left or something like that.
I was on Kickstarter. I think I should have had this keyed up, but I was rushing to.
There's 8 days to go in the Kickstarter, and it's killing it.
It is, and I really, really wanted to get this, but everything's kind of fighting against me when it comes to what I can spend my spare money on, unfortunately. But I'm glad to see everybody else on this. Guys, this is something Jim is involved with that dropped in the BookTube community not that long ago. The Advent of Winter 20 is you guys know what an advent calendar is, right? It's something you open up every day in the lead up to Christmas. This is 24 fantasy authors, 24 short stories, a short story for every day leading up to Christmas. And one of them is Jim's story, which is set in his world of the Continua Chronicles. Jim, you want to tell everyone about that story, like what we can expect?
Yeah. So it's not very long, so it won't take up a lot of your time. You should be able to read it on that day and not worry about it, carrying over. It's pretty quick. It's about the length of a nice chapter, I would say. I think I'm not 100% certain about this, but I think mine falls on day number 2. So you'll get it pretty early into the cycle. I specifically asked for day number 2 because I would have chosen the first day, but I chose day number 2 because I wasn't sure how depressing all the stories would be, and mine might bring the vibe down for a Christmas
Come on,
story.
Christmas is a happy time. What are y'all doing?
So, I mean, we're writers. I mean, everything can't just go happily, can it? But okay, here's the thing.
I got to feel like Christmas is the time you want it to go a little better, though.
So yeah, I didn't want mine to be the first day or the last day. So I was like, I'll go for day number 2. And I also want to be towards the beginning because I want to leave room for, the bigger authors to follow me, in very, music headlining form. But it's pretty short. It's easy. It happens in the frozen waste. It's an area of my world that I haven't explored. Because of that, I was able to do a winter theme. It features characters that aren't in the main stories at all, and explores a culture that we haven't seen. So it's all new stuff. It can almost not be in Continua. So you kind of it's a completely, you don't need to read anything else. It is purely just a way for you to experience some of my writing in isolation. And if you like it, you might like more of my stuff because it completely stands on its own.
And this is the good thing about this, guys. If you want to know, like, when it came to looking into indie fantasy, the adage of the wise words of the Macho Man, cream rises to the top, has proven very much true in the indie fantasy scene, where the excellent authors have really kind of risen to the top. And this is essentially a who's who in the indie fantasy scene that, I'm looking around, especially the folks that get read by all the fantasy booktubers. I've got different communities that I'm involved in when it comes to writing, Jim. But this right here is a who's who. Kian Ardelin, Zach Argyle, there's Ryan Cahill, H.C. Newell, I just mentioned earlier, Tori, Jim, you're down there at the bottom, A.R. Witham, Palmer Pickering, Andrew Meredith, Dom from, God, what is his channel called? Dom's...
Dominish... yeah, whatever it is. I never have to say it out loud.
But that hits every now and then, doesn't it? When you read someone's fantasy name like 1,300 times, and then the first time you say it out loud, you realize you've just been pronouncing it in your head as like this wordless entity. And then you say it out loud, and I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. How do I say that? That's kind of why I stuck with much more easier pronunciations when it came to my characters. Right. Places and things like that. Like I kind of take that Dungeons and Dragons approach. What's that mountain? It's an elvish city called Lawarthionion. It's like it's got 2 commas in the right. Someone's like, it's called Goldleaf. Something like something that rolls off the tongue. I'm a dumb person, so I like easy things. That's just me. This will be a great one to back. Oh gosh, I was not able to get to this. I was not able to get to a lot of things, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm trying to save you a copy. My plan is, I'm not 100% sure about this. We're still working out details, so I can't make a 100% promise. But my plan is to get my hands on a few extras because I'm not sure the specific edition with all the specialness of it will be available outside of the Kickstarter. I know it will I know it will go on retail not long after this. So there will be a retail release.
Oh, okay. There'll be a retail version. Okay, because I missed some special editions, and boy, I got to tell you, that burned me up a little bit.
Right. I'm not sure what the retail version will look like, and that's the problem. So I'm trying to snatch up some of the Kickstarter versions, just in case the retail version isn't quite as nice, which would make sense to me if it isn't, at least the physical version. So I wanted to snag a few just in case somebody really needed it, like you, John, so that you could get your hands on it.
If it looks half as good as the mock-up cover does, because that is very evocative of winter, and I really like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Kind of jealous because look, I love Christmas time. Although for my wife and kids, it's already started. Right? They were watching Home Alone the other day, and I'm like, guys, come on. But my kids they're real holiday focused. Like that whole stretch from Halloween to Christmas is big for them. And my 7-year-old, who's on the spectrum, his favorite thing in the world is inflatables. He don't want toys for Christmas. He wants Christmas or Halloween inflatables or animatronics. And it delights him in a way that no other toy does. Not action figures, not video games, nothing. And so I don't mind, as soon as September hits, he had the Halloween inflatables up. Our Halloween inflatables are now down and the Christmas ones are already up. We're in full-fledged Christmas mode, and it's weeks from Thanksgiving, but it makes him happy. I'm looking at a ceramic Santa and a Christmas tree right on the other side of my camera with a nice little one of them light up ceramic Santa's Village style Home Depots. And if I look in the other corner of my room, there's a 6-foot tall dressed as Santa Jack from Nightmare Before Christmas. That if I push the button, you would be able to hear it talking to me.
Yeah, so we didn't do much decorating for Halloween this year. We kind of let it go. I brought out the fall decorations yesterday because I was cleaning the garage, which just looks so much better now. But I was cleaning the garage and I brought them in. I'm like, all right, guys, set up the house. And they were like, oh, we don't want to set up the house. And I'm like, I cleaned the garage and brought this stuff out. It's time for you guys to set up the house. So I don't know when they're going to do that. I'm probably going to, crack the whip today at some point, whatever that means for my wife and mother-in-law. But, but we're waiting for Christmas. We wait until after Thanksgiving. And especially for a year like this year, because Pamela's sister usually comes down for Thanksgiving to visit us and stays with us that week. And then we end off her visit with setting up Christmas stuff. So that's kind of been our tradition ever since we moved here, is to do that. And this time, both of Pamela's sisters are coming to visit. Pamela's my wife, by the way, in case you're wondering who Pamela is. Who's this woman he's talking about? So
Chris Fisk says autumn and winter are the depression months. I don't get that. Not for myself at the very least. Because in the Gulf South, winter is usually like 2 months long, like December and January. And then we go back to like near summer weather. It'd be summer weather for everybody else. It's spring for us. So when December hits and it's nice and cool outside, puts me in a good mood. I don't know what else to say to, if it hits other people like that. But yeah, I feel really good at Christmas time because it was always a fun time for me and as a kid, and now it's a fun time for me as a dad. And
right.
Nothing was was stunk more than the year my oldest son figured out the Santa Claus thing. And I'm like, put my arm around, like, well, buddy, time to tell you the truth. Because that was the year you probably don't know this, Jim. This was back in 2016. We got hit by a flood. We lost everything. Had to live out of a hotel on FEMA's dollar for like 3 months. And we were going to the store and buying a bunch of Christmas gifts and then hiding them in the back of the car And then he finally put it together. He was like, "Hey, Dad, how come all those gifts that we bought in the store wound up in the hotel room with us? How come Santa brought the exact same thing you guys were buying?" Well, buddy, time for the truth. But the best thing is, now that he knows that, he's in on it, and he's all about helping get gifts and keep the Santa Claus secret from the younger two, my daughter and my youngest son. And he helps write
the rite of passage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. Joshua Scott Edwards, good to see you, man. Says, can't wait to get his copy of the book. I'm assuming he's talking about the Advent of Winter. My wife and I read holiday short stories together each year, so Advent of Winter will be perfect for us.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. I actually got asked to participate in an Christmas anthology that'll be released this year, but like that's fantasy based, and I still got an idea for it, but like I didn't have time. You know, getting the Black Crown out was a little more important.
Yeah, I'm not an anthology person. I don't read short stories, and I don't particularly enjoy writing short stories. So doing this anthology, I would not have done it if I did not want to work with Dom and want to work with all these other authors. Like this is something that I did just because I wanted to do something special. And I thought when Dom approached me, you know, Dom and I, you know, we get on pretty well. And I thought, you know, I would love to help Dom get this out. Mainly because I'd like to see him do more stuff like this. So I wanted to do whatever I could to help him out.
I have a fellow indie author who has a YouTube channel named James Craik. He talks a lot about books on it. He had a video recently that was kind of interesting. He's like, anthologies don't do anything for him. And like, I traditionally have not read many anthologies, but they get released so much these days. And I kind of see the value in them of finding new authors and seeing their take on things. I was actually in an anthology a year ago called A Fistful of Demons, which was a Weird West anthology. And that was a fun experience. Like, I've been writing short stories this year to kind of flex that muscle, because as fantasy writers, what do we usually do? We're looking at the long game. We're going, okay, yeah, this 10,000 word, this 8,000 word short story, yeah, I can flex this up into a novel, and then it becomes 3 novels. And it's like, you don't just turn that off. So like, short stories is a whole different writing muscle.
Yes.
And I'm always about improving the writing muscles and being able to do that. Show you what most of my short story writings has been for. This right here. This is a new magazine that's been popping up recently, Anvil Magazine. And I submitted to the first 2 issues right here. This one was the Halloween one, so a lot of creepy ones. I did one that was a kaiju story. And the 3rd issue I finally got accepted. So I've got a story about a sci-fi story about a group of defective clones trying to pull off a high-tech heist in a cyberpunk setting. Yeah. That's going to be cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. I still got to tweak the story though. But like each time I did it, I'm sitting there trying to write short, not go the whole distance, right?
Yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky. I don't think I have the whole thing completely nailed. I'm very proud of my Advent of Winter story. I think it's the best short story I've ever written.
That was good.
Yeah. So, and the
thing about it that kind of struck me is like, if you guys want to kind of wonder what Jim's writing is like, this is a microcosm of it. This is a microcosm of how Jim writes, where he sets things up and knocks them down, to me, expertly. So I really enjoyed that. And of course, Amy and Mara are always a delight to read.
Yeah, I love them. I love their characters. They're just so wonderfully combative with each other.
but that's good. Like, that falls into what I was mentioning recently on Iron Age Nights. What I call, and I got to do a video on this. I've been waiting to do it for a long time. A lot of writing videos, actually, but it didn't make I held off because it don't make no sense, right, to release videos about how to write when you don't have a book out yet.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
I call it the three C's of character creating.
Okay.
Conflict, complement, and contrast. And you can have all or any combination of those and create an interesting dynamic. And that's Amy and Mara. They do all three of those. They are contrast of each other because they're different. They complement each other because each one of them can do something the other cannot. And the conflict arises, out of their differences. You don't always have to have the conflict part, but that is what makes a character dynamics a little more interesting. You think about the Ninja Turtles, right? There was always they had all three of those. Those were four really good archetypes.
Yes.
And they had conflict with each other because their personalities were different, but they complemented each other because they could all do something the others couldn't.
Yeah. Slight tangent. Have you seen the new Ninja Turtles movie? Because I haven't, and I'm curious to know if it's good.
Dude, you're talking to an OG Ninja Turtles lover. I had every single toy. I watched that cartoon to excess. I read that Archie comic book back in the day. And I still have to go and finish watching the 2003 series.
Right.
So I've kind of stayed in with a lot of Ninja Turtles. The thing that I've heard about this one is that it's a good kids movie, but it's not a great Ninja Turtles movie. And that it takes a little too many liberties with some of the, characters and how they're supposed to interact. But I hear that, it's much more for kids than it is anything. So,
yeah.
But the good thing about Ninja Turtles is it's this enduring series that is not affected by the passage of time. Like, it seems like every generation has a new iteration of the Ninja Turtles that they latch onto. And then that one goes away. And then, new creators take up the mantle and put their own spin on the next one. So, I'll be interested to see what, maybe the next one is. One that doesn't involve Seth Rogen. I don't trust him as a, producer or creator. He's created a lot of things that have really rubbed me the wrong way. And I just don't think he got Ninja Turtles in the way that it really needs to just excel.
Right. I see. Yeah, I haven't looked at any reviews on it or anything. The only thing I really heard about it was it was one of the first to actually make them look visually distinct from each other in a way that is more obvious than the colors. I'm not sure it's 100% true, but
the most recent cartoon, Rise of the TMNT, did that by trying to make them like different species of turtles and, making them a little more visually separate from each other. They've kind of started going in this direction that Ralph is not just a hothead. Ralph is the muscle. He's like the knuckles of the group. So he's been beefed up more to complement that. And they've turned Donnie into the nerd. Like, he was the tech head, but like every version of him now has got like the big nerd glasses and things like that. But that was kind of a failure because they messed with the archetypes. Like, Leo was not the leader of the group. And once you start messing with the archetypes, you're messing with what makes the Ninja Turtles work.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're falling behind on these comments.
Yeah, but that's the thing I hate, because I get going with such a good conversation. I don't want to interrupt anybody.
Right.
Chris Fisk says, I watched the new Ninja Turtles film. It's not TMNT. Somehow Bebop and Rocksteady are heroes. It's like someone saw the characters and just came up with their own story. Yeah, I heard a little bit of that from everyone else. R.H. Snow, who TMNT endures because the original writing concept are so stellar. That voice endures. Agreed. I really want to go back and read the original comics, which I never read, right? Like, I was brought into it via the cartoon.
Right.
It's the first theme. Wrangler. Yeah, I said it on. I'm monetized now, so I've got commercials that interrupt the live stream. So, look, guys, I'm trying to fund future books with my YouTube bucks. Okay, please don't mind the commercials all that much, please. I don't mind doing it for others. That's just me. Let me fall behind. Yeah. Quakles, going back to the short story, says, can short stories be considered practice for writing chapters in a novel asking from the perspective of someone who's learning. I know there was another question for you back here. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, while you look for that, I'll try to answer this one.
Right.
I would say that it can be. And here's the thing. I'd like to encourage anyone who's writing or trying to learn how to write to disassociate the idea of chapters from the concept of the story block of the scene, because a scene and a chapter aren't necessarily equivalent. A chapter can be one scene, a chapter can be two scenes, it can be several scenes, it could be half of a scene. But the story unit of a scene is actually the building block of stories.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. And because of learning how to set up, a character's or set of characters' goal, the progressive complications they have to trying to reach that goal, coming to a turning point, and then having to reckon with that turning point, and then making a decision to change or not to change, or to do something or not to do something at the end of that scene is the fundamental building block of a story. And writing short stories can help you with that. The only trick with short stories is that often you kind of need a conclusion. So you might not get the practice with the domino effect that scenes require, but you still get practice with all the other elements. And so it does allow for that.
You had a question from Devil's Air. How can I improve on reading in the fall and winter months? I want to read more, but school killed reading for me. Any tips?
Kill school.
Who needs it? I assume he's talking about college. Yeah, you don't need that.
Move
on to reading.
If you were to follow what if you were to do what I did, I wouldn't advise it. I mean, I just did less homework, but I mean, in reality, I would say just try to get a little bit in every day. Just have your time to read. If it's 1 hour, if it's 30 minutes every night or evening or morning or wherever it fits into your day, if you just set aside that amount of time and knowing that that's going to be your reading block, provided your schedule is consistent enough to do that, that's the only way. And don't worry about how fast you're reading. Just enjoy it. It's not a competition. You're not racing anyone. And then when the load lightens up,
it can feel like that, especially if your TBR piles up throughout the year like mine did. And every now and then I see somebody on an interview and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to buy their copy. That's how I got this copy of Violence and Vigilance by David T. List. I saw him being interviewed by Beard, and I'm like, okay, physical copy, ebook, mine now.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a spot where I could actually do that.
Right.
Chris Fisk, in my tabletop RPG, Infinitale, scenes are segmented blocks of action / exposition. You can string together multiple scenes in a chapter. Chapters can be strung together into acts. Most games are 3 to 5 acts. That's certainly a good way to look at it. Tabletop game. I forgot to roll to see how the stream was going to go earlier. I usually do that. That's a 16. That's good. Late in the stream. I usually do that first thing, but I've got so much stuff that goes on at the start of my streams, from the intros to saying hello and all that. Now let's see here. Art Snow says, reading taught me more than school ever did, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Jeff Potts, who is also Herman P. Hunter, another indie author, says, listen to audiobooks. Now, where do you stand on audiobooks, Jim?
Whatever floats your boat. Like, I mean, no, I'm serious. Like, if it works for you, because some people have a harder time sitting and reading a book, or really just have a limited amount of time to dedicate to that kind of activity, because reading a book really does require almost all of your attention in order to do so. So if you have the kind of schedule where it's like, okay, the only time I really am going to get to read this thing is in the car while I'm driving to work, or in the car driving home from work, or listening to it while I'm doing the dishes, or mowing the lawn. You can mow the lawn and listen to an audiobook. Just put these suckers on and pump it up the volume and kiss your hearing goodbye. But if that's what it takes, then go for it. And of course, Kindle with Audible has made it pretty easy to switch back and forth between audiobooks and Kindle if you get that little upgrade thing that they do.
Interesting.
But yeah, I enjoy audiobooks. Not all narrators work for me. So if the narrator works for me, then I might consider the audiobook. But it just depends.
I have had this very strange thing with audiobooks that when I start listening to them, I either start zoning out or I start thinking about writing myself and I want to stop. Then I want to stop the book and go write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of have that problem sometimes too. Yeah.
And it's very weird. And it feels like I'm not retaining the information as much, even though I've heard it, which is doubly weird because I've been binging Critical Role for years and I can pay attention to that in the background just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where the disconnect in my brain is. So it may be, for me, it's probably a situation of I haven't listened to enough for it to really start being a thing for me yet. But it probably should, because I would probably get more reading, whatever you want to consider it, done.
Right.
Listening to books while I'm doing stuff. Because Jim, I've had that habit my whole life. Usually it was talk radio. Then it became YouTube commentary. Then it became, other things in that nature, listening to people talk while I'm doing something else to make what I'm doing, whatever mindless task I've been set to, the honeydew list, the yard work, make it go by just a little bit quicker.
Right. Yeah. I want to say that possibly what's happening for you is that quote unquote conversation has a different effect than narrative on your brain, whereas an audiobook is like a very directed narrative, whereas a podcast or a YouTube video is a little less that, it's a little more of a loose form, and it doesn't require you to, it probably just doesn't trigger the same things in your brain that those other things do. So that's what I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't know what I'm talking about either. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just an idiot. Soul Free Wolf had an interesting comment, and I want to touch on this. I think role-playing helped me out with unique character generation for stories. I can tell you from experience, yeah, that's 100% true. Like 90% of my characters in the Black Crown were originally attempts at coming up with a unique character for a D&D game. Especially the first building block of the Black Crown was the Goblin sisters, Ollie and Iggy. And Ollie is a half goblin, half elf who, exhibits different qualifications of both. I got a phone call, guys. Give me just a second and I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I should have warned you ahead of time, Jim. Sometimes I get phone calls in the morning streams. My wife's out doing errands and therapy and stuff. So when she calls, I gotta pick it up, Yeah.
So,
I had created Ollie and Iggy one is a half elf, half goblin, and the other is her half sister. They share a goblin mother who is a brothel worker, half orc, half goblin. And that was kind of where those two were a great dynamic, because one's smarter than the other, but one's stronger than the other. All the 3 C's that I mentioned before applied. And then from there on, I started taking on different characters and then kind of reverse engineering the story of why are these characters here? Okay, they're here because of this. Why are they there? Why are they here instead of there? Well, this happened and that happened, and that's just kind of how my internal process ended up working. Did you have anything like that? I think you've told me before you played D&D some, right?
A little bit of D&D. I did more Star Trek role-playing games, like via email. And that's where I cut my teeth a whole lot. Basically, I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't remember the exact abbreviation that it's called. But it's basically where you have a ship and the game master is the captain, and
right.
he sets up the story and you all email back and forth as your characters adding on to the story, your
right.
perspective. So you're writing basically functionally a chapter of a story from the perspective of your character, and everyone adds on and you kind of get a feel. You don't like try to take over the story. It's a collaboration. So
yeah, a round robin.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is kind of what a lot of online role playing ends up being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did end up doing a lot of that early on in like the 2000s, in the Wild West days. And it's been interesting to see how much the role playing aspect has played into a lot of indie authors, like Mr. Jeffrey Spate, who's always nearby. He gave me a blurb to put on the back of the Black Crown. And that was very nice of him. He's one of my beta readers, and he loved the story. And that was great. And I'm waiting on his book 3 as well.
So have you noticed the incredible rise of lit RPG fiction in the indie community?
Oh, yes, yes. And it's interesting to kind of watch that, because it's almost completely separated from us in the indie fantasy booktuber sphere, but some of it's starting to leak over. I think the standard right now is Dungeon Crawler Carl is the one everyone raves about at the moment. My fellow indie author and interviewer TJ Lombardi, he's in that space as well, and like he's loving it. And they're very prominent on like Royal Road, and especially in the Facebook groups. Like that's where all the lit RPG people are at these days.
Right. Yeah, when I was at Dragon Con, there were a lot of lit RPG author booths there, and it's exploding in a way that
it is.
I knew it had a dedicated fan base. I knew that existed. I just didn't realize how big it was getting until I went to Dragon Con this year.
I am kind of like very curious about not only getting into it reading wise, but like I told TJ, I have got what I think is a good idea for a lit RPG. But it's at the moment, it's just an idea, and I don't have a story to implement it to. But I want to do that before it gets to, before it really passes by in terms of popularity, because I'm not generally a trend chaser, but if I think I've got a good story to contribute, I definitely want to kind of, go in there and help contribute. Like independent. Was that the Kim Possible alert?
Yeah, my notification tone is the Kim Possible notification.
That's so nerdy. I love it, man.
I love it when anyone figures that out. They're like, "What was that? Am I imagining this?"
Joshua Scott Edwards says, "Seems like you can make great money being a lit RPG author, but you got to write fast because they're very like and one of the things that I think is the reason for that is because the lit RPGs are so centered on the gaming mechanics. So naturally, a lot of their readers are probably also gamers. I mean, they probably got a lot more free time than we do. They might not. They might not have as much family commitments that we got. So they're more committed to the free time dedicated to putting these things out at such a rapid pace.
Right. Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said there. It's not unpopular for a reason. You know, the other genre that I've noticed that's kind of exploded a lot lately is the harem books, and
right.
They go all out on spending their earnings from that on very eye-catching art. I'll put it that way. But I think when it comes to like the harem books, they know what their audience wants and they deliver it.
Right.
And
yeah,
that's a good thing. Deliver audience's expectations.
Yeah, and I think lit RPG, the harem and romance, romantic fantasy, even, you know, romantic, not really romantic fantasy, but like fantasy romance. Like it's really a romance book, but it's in the set dressing of fantasy. Like they know what their readers want, and they just deliver it over and over again. You know, it's less about, not saying that they're hacks or anything. It's less about innovating on the genre and more about just really satisfying a really specific want in the audience. So,
oh yeah, pulp authors and pulp readers are a little like that too, because there's been a bit of a pulp revolution in the last couple of years where a lot of people are saying, let's go back to this simpler form of storytelling where it's a shorter story, but the prose is much more, you know, intimate and direct and not concerned with a world building for thousands, you know, for hundreds of pages. And, you know, I mean, hey, Conan didn't need a whole lot of world building to succeed.
Right.
You know, Solomon Kane didn't need a whole lot. You know, The Shadow, these are very simpler stories. So they were able to hyper focus on the character, the conflict, and, you know, the villains.
Right. The very sword and sorcery, high fantasy version of fantasy, where it's more fast paced. It's more about the action and what's going on with the character, like these personal stakes often that they're attacking. It's nobody cares, you know, who big at who. You know, it's more about
And what's interesting is about that is you are able to tell a lot with very little. You're able to if you you know, understand the prose very right. It's something I've been trying to kind of hack my way into a little bit as well. Even though, you know, we're kind of in the epic fantasy space, so we're used to hundreds of pages, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of words, multiple volumes, and like there's a reason that's appealing too. So, but I generally enjoy most of what I read. But why do I enjoy it? You know, why do I enjoy this short story versus this long, you know, this long epic? Yeah, there's different appeals. So it's a matter of understanding what is the appeal of that particular story and you know, trying to apply it yourself. I think every author can, you know, kind of stretch their writing muscles a little bit and see if they can apply it, see if it works for them.
Yes, absolutely.
I got another phone call. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, it's fine.
You want to address the chat for just a second?
Oh yeah, I'll talk to the chat. Oh man. So yeah, there's some nice lit RPG talk here. Arch Snow, yes. Wait, so are you saying that you're creating a new genre as a spin-off of RPGs, lit RPG? Is that what you're saying?
Which question is it?
Ooh, goodness, I lost it. RH Snow.
Arch Snow. This one?
Yes.
Lit RPG is fun, and I don't know what that word is. I have included it in my meta tags, but since I'm creating a new genre, I'll probably be able to create it after we create our Watcher of the Damn Wildlands series. RH Snow writes, she's got a lot of things all going on all at once in her books. It's basically it's Fallout meets Beauty and the Beast. Watcher of the Damned. I should have it nearby. It's it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi romance done in a style of a Western.
Oh my gosh.
She is a Texas housewife. So like Texas ends up becoming a huge character in her books. Right here,
Okay.
Watcher of the Damned, and this was is not just fun and compelling, but she does what I think a lot of indie authors should do, which is she also has a tabletop game setting for her books. She's got like 6 of them. I only read the first one just yet. Yeah, and she puts so much love and care and attention into her books, and she does her own art as well. So I think that's where she's kind of coming on to. Yeah. Let's see. Let me find a picture. Of course, when I'm looking for a picture, I can't find one or I flip past it.
It always happens that way.
Thrilling live stream stuff. No problem. Sorry you're having to carry the chat so much.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
There's a picture of Rose, the main female character from the book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Like that's
I'm
what
jealous. I am jealous of any author who can draw.
Right.
Like the number of times I've tried to do it, and I understand there's a certain element of practice and effort that you have to put in order to make it work, but I'm just not willing to stick to it long enough to really make it work. And I'm just unreasonably jealous of any author who can do that. And not just for that reason alone, I am ordering this book right now because I need this book in my life. This is interesting.
There's a lot to take from it. Like, you want to talk about how this is the thing I like best about the scene space, Jim, is that absent of the trad pub authors trying to parse it down and saying, hey, you got to appeal in this way, so we have to cut this out and this out. Like, there's no barrier, there's no restrictions. And to me, that makes the author's voice that much more unique and stand out that much more. And like, I enjoy your book and her book, but your books read very differently. And so that's, to me, is the biggest appeal. Like, your author voice is much more prominent in the indie space because you're able to put so much more of your ideas on the table without an editor going. It's one thing for them to say, hey, there's a plot hole here, versus, hey, do you really need this campfire scene? Do you really need the characters don't need to have this little chit chat back and forth? And I kind of disagree. It's that helps develop characters.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do try to have like a reason for every scene that I have. There's usually at least 2 reasons why every scene exists. And it may seem like it's not important, but it is. There's something I'm trying to set up. There's something I'm trying to establish. There's, or I'm just trying to make sure you understand the characters and their dynamic. And often it's all 3 things at once. So
Chris Fisk is right. Writer, illustrator, and game designer, a trifecta. They talk about the indie space. One of the ones I don't want, when I was talking about not letting a particular boom go by, I want to, for my next book, have a comic companion to go with it, because indie comics is also blowing up. And it can get mired a little bit in some of the drama. I don't agree with a lot of that in those spaces, because I just want to create. I don't want to look at every interaction with someone as potential content for the YouTube channel. I think that's a little reductive once you get to it too much over time. But a comic set, that's why I called the Age of Adventures a setting. And I can do comics, I can do potential games, I can do novellas, full-size books that aren't even part of the series, all parallel to each other in different spots without having to create like a whole new setting. So fans who are familiar with the series, the setting, can just jump into it and like, oh, I know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Soul Free Wolf had another comment here. I have no budget for marketing. I have to just try and do it all on my own as free as possible. Well, welcome to the indie space, my friend. Yeah, it's what we're all trying to do. And this was one reason, Jim, my channel kind of went from pop culture commentary to sometime this year shifting more towards being a platform for others. And you've got your channel that you just kind of put your musings on writings up.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes you the face of your brand. That makes, you've got a spot that, everybody can kind of come into and, know where you're always going to be at, even if you're not on, say, Twitter or Facebook.
Right. Honestly, I talked to you about this a couple days ago, where I'm actually interested in doing some more live streaming on my channel. To talk with. I would love to have indie authors on, and we get to talk about, how the fantasy news has flowed that week, to steal Daniel Green's phrase. Talk about what projects they have coming up, and talk about what's going on in the indie sphere and what they see. Because I just love talking to other authors, and it gives me an excuse to do that. So
and the indie authors love the chance to come on to people's streams and talk about this stuff as well, because we're all kind of a lot of us are in different circles. You and I are in kind of a circle, and I'm in other circles as well. But I think the indies are definitely blowing up a lot more lately with the proliferation of social media as a way for us to talk directly to our potential fans, and potential customers. And, there's no barrier between us. We don't have to have editorial oversight. And while, yes, it would be nice to be, kind of had that trad pub infrastructure. I think my little buddy's up from sleep, so we'll probably have to end this for too long.
Yeah.
Hey, bud, why don't you come lay right here on the bed, okay, bud?
I'm out of coffee.
A shame. I've got a little bit more left, I think. It would be nice to have the trad pub infrastructure in order to, all we have to do is write, and we give them the book, and they take the ball and run with it. But we're just the to use a sports ball analogy, we pass it to somebody and they take it for the touchdown, but now we have to pass it to ourselves. We have to make the call. We have to come up with the play. We have to,
Exactly.
We also have to sell the popcorn in the stands and be our own cheerleaders.
The
announcer. Yeah, we got to do all the jobs all at once, and still take the ball to the end zone and spike it.
Right.
And it's harder, but I think it's the way we're moving right now.
Yeah.
And for those who can kind of take all those balls all at once and run with them, there's a lot of success doing it. Think about what Ryan Cahill said on his interview with Beard. He does everything. He learned how to build his website so he could build his website the way he wanted. Man, that's a lot of work. I don't even want to think about having to do that because I suck with technology. But damn, his website is impressive, and it really paid off for him.
Yeah, it's nice. It is nice.
It is. Let me set up the chat. My God, guys, you guys are chatting like crazy.
Yeah, let's see what we have to say before we have to get off here.
We will. Let's see. The Brothers Crin, thank you for showing up. Good to see you. No, wait, that's the wrong one. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up. Everyone's chatting so much. Soul Free Wolf says, I believe it's helping because it's giving confidence to those of us who would never even try. And I hope that is good. I hope that a lot of people see what we're doing are inspired. It worked for me. I saw what some other indie authors who are now blowing up real big, what they were doing was succeeding. So I kind of reverse engineer what they were doing and try to apply it to myself. And I think it's kind of worked to somewhat what we're doing. Trying to find anything that I might have missed before we go ahead and bring this stream to an end. Brothers Crin, look, I'm glad that you guys caught us. We're going to be ending for too long. We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. My youngins are going to starting to get up, and
I gotta start writing again too.
Yeah. And I've got some more promotion stuff some more book work to do to today with my editor so that make sure that the paperback and the ebook all looks real well. All right, Snow has a question though. Jim, when did you first actually look at your sales and say, I'm a real author now? Yay.
Probably in the pre-order period, because that did way better than I expected it to. Like, I mean, John, you got a pre-order.
Yes, I did.
They were pretty much all direct from me, like the pre-orders. And I was like, wow, these people have no idea who I am, and they trust that I'm going to deliver a good product. And that made me nervous, but I was like, oh, wow, I guess I'm a real author. And then after that, sales dipped for a couple months, and then they spiked again that January after the release. And then they've been pretty good ever since. And it's just been like, okay, all right, this is happening. And it's not like I have a ton of books out there, but, maybe this is something that maybe I am an author. So.
Brothers Grin said, exhausted, out of the hospital, struggling to gather cash for Defiance Press for a book. Okay. I didn't know you're in the hospital, guy, man. Prayers for a speedy recovery. I hope everything's all right. I'm glad you're at least here. Yeah, I'm in the pre-order phase right now. And just based on everybody saying that they've got a pre-order coming in, I'm very heartened by the support. Devil's Air, I know you're looking forward to the paperback. It's approved, but I don't think it's available for pre-order just yet. But don't worry, there'll be a paperback at some point. I
already ordered the ebook. I'm just waiting for you to have a paperback, so I can grab that too.
For the fans who have started following me since then, I'll tell this story. Me and Jim. Like Jim, when I started looking into, I told this on the Authors Outpost episode too. When I started looking into indie fantasy, because I started looking up a couple books. I had been in a reading slump for several years. Like I had just not really read all that much. And indie fantasy was blowing up, and all of a sudden these eye-catching covers were popping up. I'm like, wow, these look pretty good. I wonder if they read any good. And I read a couple. I'm like, oh. So I started looking for more authors to download and read. And this is when Facebook was much more, it was a little bigger than Twitter at the time. And I started seeing ads for books thanks to the algorithm. I saw the ad for one of your books before you even had the book out. Like you only had like one piece of art to help promote it. Right. It was almost like divine providence. I'll say this till the end of time. Like just something grabbed me, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna follow this guy. And then when the book come out, I bought it and I'm like, this is great. Like I really like this. And I've very rarely, only just recently been disappointed by a cover grab. But most indie fantasy has not disappointed me at all.
Yeah, I'm just so excited about this new phase of
and it's only gotten bigger since. Yeah.
Right. On one end we have mega corporations doing things that they probably have no business doing. And then on the other end we have, smaller creators who are putting their hearts and souls into the things that they create. And it's a weird spectrum, but you can find what you want, and that's what's so brilliant about living in this era now. Yeah,
and like I said, like the author voice, the really good talent, the people that really put in the time and effort to make their work look professional as possible is really what's starting to make indie fantasy stand out. I'll go ahead and take this last question before we go ahead and bring everything to a close, guys. All right, Snow, I thank you. Appreciate you for the having the review ready. Guys, the Black Crown is up for pre-order. It will release in 1 week. So the ebook will be up. You can see there the paperback. It says that it's been approved, but there's no pre-orders ready for it just yet. But don't worry. It will go up at some point. Brothers Crin says, any titles you might recommend? I'm thinking of picking up a few soon to review my book after he's done with The Legend of Huma. Or I think it's Huma. Jim, do you have any titles to recommend?
Let's see. I really loved, I don't know if you've read Zach Argyle's Threadlight series, but
I started listening to the audiobook on YouTube.
Yeah, it starts with Voice of War. His audio is hard to listen to because I get distracted by that dude's voice. Like it's like this guy's voice is great, and I can't comprehend anything he's saying because his voice is so beautiful that I can't understand anything he says. So if you have that kind of problem with audiobooks, then maybe the audiobook might not be for you, but it's a good narration. It's just his voice is distracting because it's so nice.
Yeah.
So I recommend this book. They're quicker. They kind of read a little bit like they're almost like Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, but the world is a little more distinct and they read quicker. This is what I love about them. My favorite thing about them is that the characters, like when they make mistakes, it really like the author does not hold back from the consequences, and he continues that throughout the books, and the stakes are real. And I also appreciate that it actually has a mom in this who fiercely is protecting her child, and that is brilliant. Like a live parent protecting a child, it's a little different than a lot of stuff we get.
Yeah, where the parents are just fodder to give them character motivation, right?
Exactly. Which honestly, I did in my book, and I don't regret it. But after reading that, I'm like, you know what? Next series I write, I might have to leave the parents alive and make them more integral to the story in a more interesting way.
I took the approach for Ragoth's mother is a queen, but I took a different approach in the book that where the story starts with him, but she's there, but you don't see her in the book, in that she kind of becomes this mythological figure to him, where he is thriving on, not just throughout the quest, not just the help from his friends, but all of his values, all of his good naturedness, all of his intelligence and wisdom and cunning are informed on by her raising him. So like he's throughout the book occasionally referring to something his mother did or said, and she kind of takes on this ethereal figure, even though she's still alive, but she's not much of a spoiler. She's not part of the book in terms of being there as a physical presence, but she's there as kind of a mythical figure in his head.
Yeah. One more though. While you look for something, Starbinder by Mark Timoney. This is the first. Well, it's a prequel to his first book in the Eye of Eternity series. So he has the first book out, and then he released this prequel. It's great. The prose are great. The prose are really good. He's a very meticulous writer, especially when it comes to the prose. I felt immersed in the world like almost immediately. Like I could tell that he had some interesting world building going on for the first book. I haven't read the first book yet, but this one draws you in, and it's a very good introduction if you want to try out his voice. And I recommend it 100%.
Let's see. I got several things I can recommend. I put up a bunch of reviews recently. I'll show you what I reviewed recently, because doggone it, I'm so trashy back here. I got to rearrange this bookshelf a little because I'm always pulling stuff off, put it back on. I recently finished Fear of Moncroy by Brian Asher. This is a good Halloween read. A little bit of a vampire Game of Thrones, but the story is laser focused. Like all the world building is just, very direct. So that's why it's so small. This one was a lot of fun. This is an almost autobiographical take on a story about a vampire gorilla called the Tome of Apula.
Ooh.
And it was great because Apula ends up becoming, rather than this like a sci-fi movie, kind of a slasher flick thing that feels a little low rent. Apula becomes this verbose, intelligent, book devouring creature that establishes his own creature kingdom in the jungle. And even though the formatting is a little wonky because of he said it was because of the publisher, it's got really good art scattered throughout it. It's very
beautiful.
there's a lot of interesting things that it goes into exhaustive detail at times, but that's kind of the character. And he even takes some new and interesting spins on vampire lore that are interesting. I'm a big fan of the Planet of the Apes films, the old ones and the new ones. So this kind of fell right into my my TBR like really well. Like this, I enjoyed that a lot. What can I say? I like monkeys. I'm a big fan of King Kong too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just got this in book mail. She sent this to me. Cassidy Feline, The Awakening Fire. Haven't read that. Don't know anything about it, but one day. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh. One more. If you want to pick out another book real quick, I got one more phone call to take. We're going to be ending this shortly, guys.
Yeah. So I have a few that I haven't yet read, but from the reviews and from the friends that I have who have read them, I have some recommendations. So first of all, The Assassin of Grins and Secrets by K.E. Andrews. So this one I got in not too long ago. I haven't read it yet, but Katie is fantastic. She's a pleasure to talk to, and I've read the first couple chapters. It's really nice. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm really enjoying this one. I believe she is very close to finishing book 2 in this series. So, it is a beautiful book. Look at this. It's awesome. Yeah. So definitely check out her stuff. And I can't wait to check this one out. So this one is called The Iron Crown by L.L. McRae. The interesting thing about this is that I've heard that it kind of has this whole thing where there's like dragon spirits, or spirits that like when a certain amount of something is put together, it's a chunker, then it gets its own spirit. So you have a lake. So because it's so big and massive and so full of life, it gets its own spirit. And I guess she plays with that in the world building. I ordered this one from her website. So, it came with bookmarks, with a bookmark. So that's really nice. I really enjoyed that. And she signed it, which I really appreciated. So I definitely recommend those for things that I haven't finished reading, and you might want to check out.
I've got The Iron Crown on my Kindle, and I have wanted to read into that too. Dude, the mini heart attack that I had when I saw the title, and when you read something too fast, so you kind of read it wrong in your brain before you recorrect it. So
right.
Actually, hers book is called The Iron Crown. Mine's called The Black Crown. I thought for just a fraction of a second someone else had used that title, and I was just like, and then I was like, oh, Iron Crown. Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll recommend a couple things. I always love shilling my friends, guys. Seventh Cadence is what I will recommend, and yes, it's a chunky when you want to talk about thick, but this one had a couple of really good POV chapters, and I don't want to talk spoilers because anyone interested in this book, I don't want those spoilers to go away. Very imaginative world, and if you like stuff in the vein of what you were inspired by, Brandon Sanderson. Who else?
Yeah, Sanderson, Robert Jordan. I stole a few elements, I would say, from probably Good Kind and R.A. Salvatore and
there was a reason this was my favorite indie fantasy of 2022, guys. And it was literally the first book I reviewed on my channel. So, I always recommend Jim's work. Especially if you want something. Jim is a very meticulous, methodical writer, and it shows in his prose. All right, so this is I sold you on her I sold me on I can't read in third person like that. You can read it.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed that book, and honestly, I can't wait too, because I have my book here, and I cannot wait to have a paperback copy of your book so I can put it on this shelf. I'm just so excited to have your book in my hands.
The only other thing I'll recommend is digging into indie fantasy comics. He's been in the chat almost the whole time here. Chris Fisk is the creator of Infinitale Chronicles, which is his indie fantasy comic, which I owe him a read and a review. Gorgeous art. I've loved indie fantasy comics when I've delved into them in the past, and especially Elf Quest. I really liked that, and I never finished the story, unfortunately. It came with a lot of goodies and stickers, but this one's my favorite. This is a holo card that came with the comic. That is the comic. It's not done justice by the camera. That is gorgeous, right there.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Let me get a side by side. There we go. That's a little easier to see. Yeah, a lot of great, and it came in this book. That's a permanent part of my desk over here. Right over here. This is where all my indie comics are stored at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chris, no problem, man. I like indie fantasy I like fantasy in all its forms. Comics.
Yeah, when I was at
games.
Dragon Con, I grabbed a couple indie fantasy comics, and this one is called Black Rose. What's that?
He's asking what your book is. I'm pointing out the Seventh Cadence. This is his book. Black Rose, you said?
Black Rose. It's kind of like the samurai genre, the Afro samurai kind of thing.
A little similar to Sister Samurai that just came out.
Yeah. So, except for we have a comic, and it's kind of like in the manga form. I haven't read it yet, but it looks like it's going to be good. I think it takes place in feudal Japan. So it's a little kind of displacement. And then I have from the same publisher. This one's an Afrofuturist one. So if you're familiar with that genre, it's basically
I've seen it.
Elements of African culture and put it in sci-fi basically. So it looks pretty good. So I'm giving both of these a try. I need to get into a comics groove, and I just have not gotten into one. So I'd love to get into a comics groove.
I gotta turn you on to my friend Animane, who is he's got his Kickstarter ready. He has an indie, a shonen inspired street level vigilante style manga called Bond of the Blade. And it's essentially 3 street level young heroes, and they're powered by an angel. So essentially they're kind of like, if you think of it in the D&D style, like warlocks, where they have a patron, and their patron is a warrior angel that gives them their powers. So I got to turn you on to that, because I'm one of his biggest fans, and I'm really excited to see him launch this comic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And to me, marrying these indie circles together, I think a lot of indie, you keep reaching for that coffee, and it's not there.
I keep hoping it refills itself somehow.
But if the indie comics and indie and the indie authors can kind of like come together, that's what I want to do next year for Lionheart, which is a superhero story in a fantasy setting, and a Egyptian style fantasy, aesthetically speaking.
Right.
Big, and it's going to be a comic companion. I'm hoping that will take place after the book. So the comic will be like, some adventures after the book, and people who read the comic can go, oh, what was the origin story? That's the book. People want to know what happens after the book. We'll be like, what happens next? Here's the comic, That's the plan. How well it gets executed, we'll have to see.
Yeah, let me know how that goes, because I would love to branch into comics for Continua. It's just that, finding the right artist, finding the right collaborator is tricky. It's very difficult.
It's a lot of work, but if you know the right people to talk to, I think it can go a little smoother. I can put you in touch with probably a couple people at the very least. But guys, we're gonna go ahead and in the stream now. We've been going for about 2 hours, and Jim's getting a little sour because he's out of coffee, and I'm starting to think about a second cup myself. But we're going to go ahead and bring it to an end now. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Jim, for coming to talk to me for a few hours.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun. I love talking to you. You're always a pleasure to talk to you.
Don't tell people that. I got a reputation to maintain. So in the meantime, everyone, you guys have a good evening, a good rest of the day. It's Monday, so kill it, guys. On my Twitter, look out for the Monday tribute thread. So if you got an indie project, a comic, a book, a channel, something you want to promote, look for it. Just look for the big yelling orc and post your stuff underneath the thread. And hopefully, if you even if you don't have something that you want to share, hopefully you can find a new favorite. That's what I'm hoping for. This has been me. The Black Crown is in pre-order right now. It's going to be released in 1 week on ebook and hopefully paperback. If you go to my new website, I got to show this a little more, johnadouglas.com, and scroll down to the bottom of it. You can sign up for my newsletter, be part of my mailing list. If you're curious about my book, you can get the first 5 chapters for free in a sample form. And it's a good chunk. It's a good chunk of the first part of the story. If you want to, that helps you know what my writing is like, what the world and the characters are like. And then you're like, oh, I want to finish this. And my guest this morning has been Jim Wilburn, author of the Seventh Cadence, the Continua Chronicles. Highly recommend. All the links for everything I just said is in the description of this video. If you're watching here on YouTube in the replay, or you're watching on Jim's channel, which he's simul-streaming, come over to my channel, description, all the links, links everywhere. Thank you guys for showing up, especially to the chats. So, Jim, thank you for being here, man. Good talk.
All right. Absolutely. It was great.
Hey, guys, have a good day. Kill it.
Wake up!
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
The sun's up, so your ass should be out of bed anyway.
You don't want to lie in bed like a vegetable and do nothing. I've tried it.
What do you need? What do you want? Can I not just live here without having to occasionally deal with you animals?
Coffee time.
Care for a cup of Wilkins coffee? No, I don't like coffee.
I need another cup of coffee.